ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Thursday, December 11th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line is open, and it's brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We've got this Marshall Western Kentucky game to go over. We'll also start talking about Marshall and Wright State. That's coming up Saturday at the Cam Henderson Center. We'll get your text in, of course, and we're going to give you an opportunity to win tickets to go see the Herd take on Wright State. We've got a pair of tickets for you. All you have to do is make the show interesting. Help out. 304-396-TALK is our text line for you to enter. 304-396-8255. So, fun game last night at the Cam Henderson Center. The Thundering Herd going in at half, leading by one, and then coming out in the second half and just obliterating Western Kentucky, 48-33. Thundering Herd fell 1 point short of hitting double digits from the three-point line. I was keeping an eye on that stat because Marshall, when it shoots under 10 made three-pointers, it hasn't won all season long, but Marshall changed that. 9 made threes. Marshall gets the win over Western Kentucky, breaks an 8-game losing streak. The Hilltoppers also snaps a 3-game losing streak this season. So the Thundering Herd improving to 6-4. Now getting set for a 5-5 Wright State team that is coming into the Henderson Center on Saturday. We'll talk more about that team. I like the matchup, to be quite honest with you. To be fair, I think Marshall does a lot of things better than Wright State, at least if you look at these two teams on paper. Marshall scores more than Wright State. Wright State's got a pretty good scoring defense, though. It doesn't give up that many points compared to Marshall, almost about 75. And Marshall is a better shooting team, not only from the field, but the three-point line as well. Free throw line, Marshall's a better shooting team. Rebounding, I'm going to have to give that edge to Wright State, at least on paper, until we see what this Thundering Herd team can do against it. But one thing that I was really happy with in that Western Kentucky game yesterday is the block shots. Going up and just making sure nothing got past you. Matt Van Komen had 5 block shots. The Herd as a team had 9. Eric Harding, he had 2. 9-2 was the shot block advantage for the Thundering Herd. I mean, Marshall in that game, almost a complete game. If you heard our post game yesterday, we were talking to the guys, and they said, "Hey, that's pretty close. It's not a complete game." And Coach Jackson kind of agreed, like, "Hey, look, I'm a coach. I'm always looking for better." That was pretty solid. But the Herd in that game shot from the free throw line in the second half alone, 9 of 13, only 1 of 2 in that first half. And I was sitting there thinking, I hope it doesn't go to the free throws again, because Western Kentucky's really good at getting to the free throw line, not just making them, but just getting there. And that was a complete difference tonight, or last night, for the Thundering Herd, because Western Kentucky only attempted 21 shots from the free throw line. That's a little bit below its average. Marshall was 10 of 15. The Hilltoppers 15 of 21. The three-point line was a little bit better for the Thundering Herd. 9 of 23 compared to 6 of 24 for Western Kentucky. Marshall just shot better. 29 of 67. That was a big difference. 20 of 65 for Western Kentucky. But the Herd in that game shot 43.3%. That's a little bit below average, just a little bit. Not by much, but Marshall was pretty much on schedule for the game. Three-point line was almost 40%, and from the free throw line, I really wasn't worried about that because Marshall was pretty solid there. But Marshall, coming into that game, had averaged a little bit over 80 points a contest, pulls down 77. Western Kentucky had averaged over 85, almost 86 points a game, and was held to 61. Field goal percentage, as I mentioned, Marshall shot close to average. Marshall was averaging 46.7 going into that game, shot 43.3%. Western Kentucky was 44.2%, and Marshall held them to 30.8 in that game. Turnover battle belonged to Marshall. Marshall only had 8 turnovers. Western Kentucky had 11. The assist, I always give that to Marshall. If Marshall's not making things happen, Marshall's not winning the game. And it was a 15-11 advantage for the Thundering Herd there. 3-point shot, as we mentioned. Marshall usually shooting 36.1, shot 39.1. 9 made, averaging over 10. Western Kentucky averaging over 6, right at 6, 25%. Steals, clean game for the most part, 5-4 in favor of the Herd there. Rebounding, it was close. Marshall won that battle 47-44. The scoring margin, though, that's the big one there. Marshall plus 16. Usually Marshall is under a point. And the plus side, factor in a few losses, Western Kentucky plus 7.3 scoring margin. So Marshall definitely took over that metric in the game. But I was really happy with this overall general performance of this team. A couple of other interesting nuggets from the game. Marshall, when leading at half, came into the game 2-0, now 3-0 after the victory. Western Kentucky, when trailing at half, was 1-1, now 1-2. When Marshall wins the turnover battle, it was 3-0 coming into the contest. Now it's 4-0. When Marshall loses the turnover battle, 2-4. So the Thundering Herd improving in that regard. And, of course, Western Kentucky was 1-1. Turnover battle, when it lost the turnover battle, now 1-2. And the one thing that I was happy with was just the shot selection. I felt that it was better. Marshall was a lot quicker in some regards as well. I didn't think that size was a detriment. Speed was hustle. Let's just be honest with ourselves here. I thought we saw a lot better, more energized Thundering Herd team. Focus, played almost a complete game. It's never going to be perfect, but up to this point, I think that was the best game Marshall had played since the season started, or at least in my opinion. And so let's hope that carries over for the Thundering Herd going into Saturday's game with Wright State. So we'll get your thoughts. Good crowd last night at the Henderson Center. A little bit over 4,000. It was 4,420 was the official attendance in that game. Looked good. Nice to see on a Wednesday night. You get a little bit over 4,000 plus in the Henderson Center. And so hopefully Marshall on a Saturday, weather permitting, weather allowing, we get a good crowd. I'd like to see 5,000, 6,000 in the Henderson Center for sure, especially with Wright State coming in. It's good. That's a good opponent. These last 2 games on the schedule here, the one coming up, and of course the game we just talked about, Western Kentucky. These 2 games, good opponents. I like seeing them on the schedule. I'd like to see Wright State more. It's an easy drive. You can get to Wright State. It's not that far out of Cincinnati. You can get there. You can also get to Bowling Green, go see the Herd take on Western Kentucky. And Marshall's got some business to attend to with Western Kentucky. Going into that game, and I didn't realize it had gotten to that point, 8 straight losses to the Hilltoppers. Overall, the series is 23-13 now after the victory. And since 2004, just the modern era, it was 13-8. So now it's 13-9 in favor of Western Kentucky. Last time until the game last night that Marshall had beaten Western Kentucky was January 12th, 2019. So it'd been a while between victories for these 2 teams. And I was absolutely excited to see the Herd come out and punch this team in the mouth early and stay on top of it. And that's what really happened here. Marshall went in at half with a 1-point lead, punched this team in the mouth. It battled back, and then in the second half, punched this team in the mouth and kept the lead. At no point I was worried that, okay, Western's going to make a run, because I didn't see things that kind of made me wonder, like, okay, can they hang on? Can they keep this up? Can they maintain this pace? It was smart basketball, clean basketball, and it was good to see Thundering Herd get the win over the Hilltoppers. We had some fun at the game, though, yesterday. I don't know if you were tuned into the show or if you were on your way over to the Henderson Center, but we had some fun yesterday at the expense of Bill Cornwell, our news director. And, of course, Bill's a good sport about it. Bill came in. He was wearing all red. He had the red sweater vest. He had the red shoes, and I've just been unmerciful today. I've been picking on him all day here at the office, but he was telling me it was Christmas colors. Come on, I'm gonna wear black on Saturday. Okay, all right, that's better than wearing red. But it was a fun game yesterday. I had a great time, and hopefully we get to see you. And I'm gonna send one of you today at least. Going to make you a winner. I got a 2-pack of tickets for the game on Saturday, so. We'll get that text line going now, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We'll look ahead at this game between Marshall and Wright State, kind of some early observations when we continue on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Metro Community Federal Credit Union now brings you all the tech that big banks have, but still has that personal touch of a member-owned community credit union. Apple Pay? Got it. Digital wallet? Yep. Message pay by text, online loan payments, even chatting with a real person, not a bot. Open accounts, sign documents, and manage your money all online. It's the big bank tech you need from the local community-minded credit union you trust. Metro Community FCU. Visit metrocommunityfcu.com today.
Stuck in a state of falling behind, struggling to keep up with kids, finances, insurance, and life? Well, let your State Farm agent help you simplify and get to a better state. With State Farm handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time to handle everything else. More money, too. Adding State Farm policies can earn discounts that could add up to 40% to help you get ahead. Call an agent today and get to a better state with State Farm. In Huntington, John Garden, 304-525-1116. And in Barbersville, Marcia Slater, 304-736-6100.
Cold weather's on its way. And what do you want on those cold, chilly evenings? A warm blanket and a hot cup of cocoa. Well, you know who else wants the same comfort? Mice. Messy, uninvited guests. They sneak in and leave droppings, chew through your food and packages. Don't let mice take over your home this fall and winter. Call K&B Pest Control. We will kill for your business. Call today, 304-523-4281.
This fall, let the Car Ferry bring a little magic to your driveway at Mark Porter Auto Group. With locations in Pomeroy and Jackson, Ohio, and Ashland, Kentucky, they make it easy to get into a safe, reliable vehicle. Every used car goes through a 117-point inspection, fall into a safe, reliable vehicle, and let the Car Ferry guide you to Mark Porter Auto Group in Pomeroy, Jackson, and Ashland, or shop 24/7 at markporterautogroup.com.
Listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Text line is open, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We're going to give you a chance to win tickets to see Herd take on Wright State. That is coming up on Saturday, and we're going to give you those tickets, a 2-pack. So all you have to do to be a part of the giveaway is text in and win. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. So early scout on Wright State. What's this team about coming out of the Horizon League? Right now it is 5-5. Already 2 games in conference play and split. Lost at Youngstown State 69-68, and then beat Green Bay 86-58. That was a home game for Wright State, which had played previously 3 straight road games. And if you look at its schedule, it opens up at home against Franklin, gets that win 86-37. Then at California, loses that game by 10, and then takes a loss at Toledo. We know about Toledo. It was an 81-71 loss to Toledo. And then plays Radford, wins that game, loses in overtime to Kent State, has a home game with Wesleyan, Ohio Wesleyan, and then 3 straight on the road with wins at Stetson and then losses at Butler and then mentioned Youngstown State before coming back at home and getting Green Bay. You look at where this team gets its points, it's shooting almost 50% from the field. I mean, that's an impressive number in itself, almost 50%. The three-point line, it's shooting over 35%, and it makes almost, as a team, almost 8 three-pointers a contest. But Wright State scoring 77 a game. Marshall's a little bit better at scoring, and the Thundering Herd, obviously, it's gotten a lot better at defense as of late. If you look at that Western Kentucky game, the block shots alone right there made me feel a lot better. That, Matt Van Komen was kind of feeling it. He was right where we thought he should be. But if you look at where the Thundering Herd is getting it done, and you got to be honest, it's the three-point shot. That's where Marshall's been able to get it done. Marshall is now scoring 79.8 a contest. Given up 77. But a 77-61 victory over Western Kentucky, I mean, imagine where this team would be at right now. And also, the net went up. Keep that in mind. We're playing the net game, right? And so Marshall's net after the victory went up. Because this was a higher net team that the Thundering Herd had faced. So, and Marshall's already the top team in net ranking in the Sun Belt. Highest ranked team. So 116th right now. South Alabama is second in net at 138, and then Southern Miss is third at 156. The worst team in net in the league is Louisiana at 352. Just entertain this for a second here. You have 7 teams that are in the top 200. Marshall's flirting with being a top 100 net team. South Alabama, Southern Miss, Troy, Arkansas State, James Madison, and Coastal Carolina, all within the top 200. Coastal's at 188. And then Georgia Southern's right there at 235. And then it just gets worse. 245 for Old Dominion. Texas State, 276. App State's at 293. Georgia State's at 341. ULM's at 351. Then, as I mentioned, Louisiana's at 352. So a lot of ground to be made up in the league if you're trying to improve your lot in basketball life. And then as far as Wright State's concerned, this will be a good game for the Herd to get because Wright State right now is 137 in the net rankings. It moved up from 140, so it's at 137. And why do I mention it? Because this stuff is interesting from the standpoint that now with the selection committee, you got to have a good net. And so that's why you have this MAC Sunbelt Challenge. You're trying to improve your net. You're trying to play like teams. You're trying to make sure that you're getting yourself in a situation where, you could probably get a good net win or a high-quality net win. And let's be honest, the high majors are not coming and they're not playing teams like the Herd. It's just not going to happen. So you absolutely have to figure out how do you improve your net, how do you get yourself into a situation where you can play some quality opponents, not get murdered out there, and not at the same time feast on a lot of lower-end teams. It's a very difficult balance, to say the least. So it's possible. Marshall, if you look at the schedule, I mean, it's possible that some of those games in the Sun Belt are going to be really good for your net, and then some of those games are going to be absolutely abysmal. Ohio right now has a net rank of 220. Akron's all the way up there at 41, and Ohio is at 220. 220 is not bad, but Akron, I mean, the MAC's doing a lot better than the net. Akron's at 41. Miami is 79. Bowling Green is 89. I mean, even Buffalo is up there, 125. It starts to drop off. But Toledo right now is a net of 151, but Akron is 41st. And so when you get back to the MAC Sun Belt Challenge, let's look ahead. It's going to be a while before we get the second matchup here, but Marshall's going to play in the MAC Sun Belt Challenge again. And so if Akron is the top team in the MAC in net right now, that leads me to believe that Marshall could be its opponent. Just a complete reach on my part, but Marshall right now sitting at 116 in the net. Possibility that the Thundering Herd could. I mean, and that's the whole point of this thing. You would get a high net team on your schedule, and you could possibly get that win. That's going to help because right now Marshall's average opponent net is 166. Not terrible. Average opponent net 166. Not good, but not terrible. And the Thundering Herd absolutely needing some quality wins. And so if Marshall could have gotten a few of those games that it lost, I think this would be – Marshall might be a top 100 team at this point. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I want to make you a winner, so let's get to that text line when we continue, 304-396-TALK. 2 tickets to go see the Herd take on Wright State Saturday. That is our ticket giveaway, and all you have to do to win is text in. Make the show interesting. You get a shot at those tickets when we continue on this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Get the help you need with Skill Power Tools from Menards. They're built for power, precision, and portability. From drills and drivers to sanders and saws, Skill delivers performance and durability with the convenience of cordless technology. Plus, the PowerCore 20 battery powers every Skill 20-volt tool for ultimate versatility. Save big and all Skill Power Tools at Menards. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on menards.com for great deals happening now.
Warm season's greetings to you all from Menards.
Looking for midweek fun? Head to Frank's Place, where every night's a party. Wednesdays are full of brains and brews with trivia night. Grab your crew and show off what you know. Thursdays, crank it up with Singo Bingo. Music meets bingo for prizes and laughs. Then Fridays, we hand you the mic for karaoke night. Sing your heart out and start your weekend right. The fun never stops at Frank's Place. Great drinks, great friends, and good times. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check them out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
No matter where you are in life, Mount West Community and Technical College isn't just about an education. It's a step toward your future. We provide the hands-on support you need with classes that fit your life. At Mount West, we know you by name because here, you're more than just a number. Mount West Community and Technical College, because you matter here. Visit mctc.edu to apply today.
You took the elevator to the 48th floor and handed him the briefing. Your fingertips touched, sending a shockwave of desire through the air. The room pulsed with a silent craving as he drew you in with his smoldering gaze before uttering the words your body ached to hear.
The next train on track 2 is delayed.
And all the while, you were on your commute home. There's more to imagine when you listen. Discover romance titles on Audible.
You just can't stop once you've tried Scraggle Pop. Scraggle Pop kettle corn has become a favorite snack throughout the tri-state area, and they are now expanding beyond. This Christmas season, come visit Scraggle Pop at the Huntington Mall or get it from Food Fair and a number of great tri-state retailers. They have an assortment of delicious flavors like cinnamon, caramel, Chicago blend, and of course the original blend of kettle corn that started it all. Grab your favorite kettle corn blend along with frozen sweet tea, lemonade, or hot apple cider. Take home a beautiful Christmas tin for yourself or as a gift for family and friends. Scraggle Pop also offers mini sports team tins for the sports fan in your life. So check them out today at the Huntington Mall. Scraggle Pop now ships nationwide. Visit their website at scragglepop.com to send your loved ones a tin of their favorite flavor. You just can't stop once you've tried Scraggle Pop. scragglepop.com.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player and proud supporter of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. My mom was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was 14, and I watched her struggle. But MDA helped her get the best treatments and care, and they also help kids like my buddy Ethan.
My name is Ethan. Thanks to the Muscular Dystrophy Association and people like you, I have more hope than ever before. From day one, they've treated me like family at my local care center. AMDA is the only one that funds over 150 care centers across the U.S. to help provide state-of-the-art care for adults and kids like me.
MDA has been transforming the lives of people living with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and other related neuromuscular diseases. They fund the research for breakthrough treatments, care, and cures. And MDA provides support to thousands of families like mine and Ethan's in communities like yours. Thanks to MDA, kids and adults can live life to its fullest. Join us and learn more at mda.org today.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Follow at Paul Swann on X for Marshall sports updates and more.
We continue on with this Thursday edition of Your Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255, giving you a chance to win 2 tickets to go see the Herd take on Wright State. That's coming up on Saturday, and I've got a pair of tickets for you. All you have to do to win is to enter through our text line. And again, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Marshall men's basketball was last night. We've got women's action tonight at the Cam Henderson Center. For me, this is just basically going to be a tune-up game. I mean, no offense to Davis and Elkins, but this is a tune-up game for the Thundering Herd. The Herd coming into this game with the definite advantage. Marshall's at 7-3 right now. A couple more games before Sun Belt Conference play next week at home. The Thundering Herd taking on Davis and Elkins. This will be the 6th all-time meeting between the two teams. D&E is yet to win a game in this series. Not surprised by that. And D&E 0-7. Absolutely not a game that Marshall should lose, but then again, you put a game like this on the schedule, it's sort of a tune-up contest game that you keep going. You have an opportunity to play a game. You don't get a little complacent. You know, you can maybe see some of the younger players, if you can really call players younger anymore with the way the transfer portal is, players that maybe won't see the court as much get an opportunity to maybe use your depth a little bit more. So if all goes well, this is basically an easy win for the Thundering Herd. Not to downsell it, but you got to come out and play the game. Obviously, you can't just overlook D&E. But 0-7, there is a chance for a little complacency. Let's be fair. You look at something like this on your schedule and you go, oh, hey, we got an easy one here. 0-7, yeah, we should be able to beat them. And so we'll see if the team comes out flat. A lot of energy. Marshall wins this one big. We know that Coach Julie Folks had them ready, and they listened. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That is our text line to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. You know, while we were getting ready for basketball yesterday at the Henderson Center, a lot was going on. Didn't have a chance to get into it, but of course, you got college football. The playoffs are coming. The bowl system is falling apart. Everything is dying, right? Everything is falling apart. And then come to find out that Michigan is just a train wreck right now. Completely fallen apart there. And Southern Miss has a new coach. Let's start with Southern Miss. This is league news. Southern Miss promoted offensive coordinator Blake Anderson to the head coaching position. Interim coach previously announced. Anderson was the coach previously at Utah State and Arkansas State and was the offensive coordinator. Had a top-ranked passing offense in the Sun Belt. He's got a 75-54 record, and so he's definitely stepping up to take over for Charles Huff, who is having a good time right now in Memphis. And then, of course, By the way, as I mentioned, Michigan is falling apart right now because Sharon Moore is in custody right now. And if you're not up to date on what's happening, former Michigan football coach Sharon Moore remains in custody as a suspect in an alleged assault, going to appear in court for arraignment tomorrow. It's incarcerated Wednesday, just hours after he was fired as the Wolverines coach. The school said it was an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. And so that's under active investigation. And he was terminated with cause effective immediately, the school said in a statement. Quote, following a university investigation, credible evidence was found that Coach Moore engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. So 2 seasons as Michigan's coach, was the team's offensive coordinator, and now it's just completely fallen apart. Hey, Lane Kiffin, if you could have just waited, right? If Lane would have held out just a little longer, Michigan, that would have been your job, right? Coach Huff, Charles Huff, if you had just held out a little longer, you could be the coach at Michigan next week. That could have been you right there if you just held out. It's just getting ridiculous. I didn't think I'd wake up and look at the news on Wednesday and go, oh, hey, Michigan fired his coach for inappropriate relations with a staff member. I don't know to what detail I want to go down that rabbit hole to find out what that inappropriate relationship was, but I think I can pretty much put it all together and put 2 and 2 together. So what a crazy day we had yesterday. College football. And, oh, by the way, I think that completely put Notre Dame's complete temper tantrum story to the side. Is anyone talking about Notre Dame now? Absolutely not after all of this. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That is our number to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Giving you an opportunity to win tickets to go see the Herd take on Wright State. That's coming up on Saturday. If you can go, I've got 2 tickets for you. All you have to do to win them is text now, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 as the Thundering Herd now turning its attention fully to Wright State. Going back to that Western Kentucky game just for a minute. Player of the game, you would say Jalen Spear with 24 points. 10 of 22 from the field. He was 4 of 10 from the three-point line. 24 points there. But I don't know. Landon Joseph was out there for over 25 minutes. He was 4 of 8. Had 10 rebounds, 10 points. He had a double-double. He was plus 15. I mean, Matt Van Komen, though, plus 26. And I'm a big fan of the plus-minus number. Being the hockey fan I am, the plus-minus number means something to me. So 12 points, 13 rebounds, so a double-double for him. Noah Schutte was flirting with a double-double. He had 12 points, 7 assists. Spear could have been on his way. He had 5 assists, but he was making things happen, 24 points there. And Landon Joseph, double-double, 10 points, 10 assists, 10 boards. I'm sorry, 10 rebounds. 10 points, 10 rebounds, 9 of those on the defensive side. That was absolutely Marshall basketball that we expected. And Western Kentucky only led for 9 minutes and 36 seconds of the game total. Second half, pretty much all Marshall. Marshall led for 28 minutes and 17 seconds. There were only 2 lead changes. The game was tied 3 times. And We knew Western Kentucky's bench would come off and score points, and it did, 33 points. But Marshall's bench, 26 points. And Marshall was a little bit better with points in the paint. I knew Western Kentucky would get its points inside, 26 points there, but Marshall had 30 points in the paint. That was a good performance for the Thundering Herd and Coach Jackson's team. That was absolutely what I want to see on Saturday. I want to see Marshall come out, punch Wright State in the mouth early, and not hang on, but just maintain and keep that lead. I don't want to say cruise, but definitely get to the point where, you're not worried it's going to be all right because Marshall has taken a substantial lead, or at least I don't want it to be within 5. If you can keep it 10, 15, I'd be good with that against this Wright State team. But again, Wright State, I don't think it's a bad team coming in at 5-5. You look at some of its losses, some of its wins. It's hard to judge, but I think this is going to be a better team than we thought early on looking at the record. 304-396-TALK is our text line, 304-396-8255. We'll get to your text when we continue on this edition of The Drive. It is ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Earn more with 4 at the best community bank in the Kanawha Valley, Poca Valley Bank. Poca Valley Bank is now offering a certificate of deposit special, 10-month APY, annual percentage yield 4%. Take advantage of this great rate to grow your savings. For more information, stop by one of the 8 Poca Valley Bank locations today. Poca Valley Bank, where relationships matter.
Certain terms and conditions apply. Rates based on minimum annual percentage yield, subject to change without notice. Minimum deposit required of $10,000 of new money not currently on deposit with Poca Valley Bank to receive APY. Member FDIC.
I'm with Chris from Christopher's Eats, and Chris, you guys just made life a lot easier.
That's right. We now have online ordering and delivery.
So I can get your famous seared tuna, flatbreads, or burgers delivered right to my house, or I can pick it up on my way home from work?
You bet. Just order online at Christopher'sEats.com or Facebook, and we'll take care of the rest for you.
Man, that's dangerous. I might never cook again. Locally owned, made from scratch food, now just a click away at Christopher'sEats.com on Facebook or Route 60 Huntington.
Here's another Kindred Communications Community Chatter. The Greater Huntington Symphonic Band hosting its annual holiday concert on Thursday, December 18th at 7 p.m. at the New Baptist Church in Huntington. That's at 28th Street and 5th Avenue. Admission is free.
This Kindred Communications Community Chatter brought to you by Car Stuff. Winners here upgrade your ride. Remote starters, window tint, and stereo installs. Car Stuff, 3450 US 60 in Huntington.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player and proud supporter of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. My mom was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was 14, and I watched her struggle. But MDA helped her get the best treatments and care, and they also help kids like my buddy Ethan.
My name is Ethan. Thanks to the Muscular Dystrophy Association and people like you, I have more hope than ever before. From day one, they've treated me like family at my local care center. MDA is the only one that funds over 150 care centers across the U.S. to help provide state-of-the-art care for adults and kids like me.
MDA has been transforming the lives of people living with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and other related neuromuscular diseases. They fund the research for breakthrough treatments, care, and cures. And MDA provides support to thousands of families like mine and Ethan's in communities like yours. Thanks to MDA, kids and adults can live life to its fullest. Join us and learn more at MDA.org today.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Miss an episode? Catch it anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Rest of the way, let's get your text in. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. First up, texter says, Paul, Herd fans have to do better with attendance. Yes, it was a Wednesday, and we were 5-4, now 6-4. But we are a good team for the G5 and have an excellent coach in Corny and his staff. With respect, we always get 12 to 15,000 to show up to a bad football game when they aren't their best. I think we can get at least 4,000 in this building against one of our rivals. It's not expensive to attend as well. Also, hope to see facility upgrades as well because Corny and our program deserve better. Herd fans just do better and show up and show out. All right, appreciate the text. I got some thoughts on that. I'll share. I'm in. First up, new athletic director just got here. Absolutely. I'm sure that he's got in his notebook. It's like, okay, here's what I want to do. Here's what I can do right now. Here's what I want to do. What can I afford? What can I do? Now, the Sky Deck project was in the works before Gerald got here. And if you didn't hear the show yesterday, we talked a little bit about it. And it's going to be similar to the Dutch Miller deck at the football stadium, which was sorely needed. Marshall needed a space like that to be able to attract, higher level donations, offer that premium experience. And, the price is just going to go up. It's not going to be fixed. It's eventually going to go up as the price market demands. And so we had Emily on yesterday, Emily Suter, who's the director of premium seating and donor experience. And Emily's from Virginia, and so she's now all in with the Thundering Herd. It's like home for her. So she's super cool and young, energetic, hustling, gets it. And this experience for folks, if you didn't hear about it, you go back to get yesterday's podcast. We just got it posted not that long ago. And so she talks about that. And that's going to be a great way to get some folks into the Henderson Center. Now, the Thunder tables, I think that's cool. Those are really cool. It's a nice little area. You're not all the way up on the Sky Deck. So if you want to sit a little bit closer to the court, because the courtside seats are not going anywhere. You got the courtside tables. Those are taken up until further notice. The courtside seats, not going to get those anytime soon. And so you got the Thunder tables. Those are cool. I like those. I'd like to see more of those, to be honest with you. I know the other end zone has got to be for the students, and so the students take up some of that seating, and the band. That's why you had to make some of these arrangements to rearrange people's seatings, because you put the band down there, you put the students down there. And the strategy was, hey, let's get the band closer to the other team to be loud, as close as you're allowed to. So there's some seating options at the Henderson Center. There's a price point for everyone. And the concourse has gotten a lot cleaner. And I'm not trying to say it's an old building. It's been around for a while, and so it's showing its age. Let's just be fair. And we had Gerald on, Marshall's athletic director, Gerald Harrison, and he talked about that with me a couple of weeks ago. So if you can go back and get that episode, you can hear a little bit more about some of the facility things that I threw at him here. But you've got to do with what you have, and so the building does need some TLC. I think the seating improvements are nice. I like that style of seating. I'd like to see that on the other end zone, but I know you can't right now because of the considerations you have with the band. Student seating, you're going to have some place for them. It's good that the students actually still can be close to the floor. I remember when student seating was almost directly behind the home bench years ago. So student seating was in a different spot, and those got taken up because, again, students just didn't come. I mean, that's a big thing here. And then Wednesday, also, you've got finals, you've got studying, dead period, you got all of that going on, but I think some students really showed up, made it a thing. Wednesdays has just been hard. And if you've been with me a long time, you know that I have not been a fan of the Wednesday game for the attendance reason. It's not that, for me personally, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm good. Wednesday game, then I got Thursday and Friday, and then I can get ready to go for Saturday. I'm good. I have a different point of view. But for Herd fans, Wednesday night, what happens on Wednesday night in this tri-state area? And it's not the only reason. I'm not gonna fall on that. But Wednesday night's an important church night for a lot of your core base, to be quite honest. If I'm wrong, tell me. I don't think so. And so there are a lot of people, they're going to go to Wednesday services. Get off work, go get ready to go. They'll do Wednesday services. It's a very religious area in certain pockets. The Herd fan base, to be quite blunt with you, for basketball especially, is still an older fan base compared to maybe football. I see a lot of longtime veteran Herd fans at Marshall basketball. And the challenge for Marshall has been and will be is to try to bring in younger fans, get them excited for coming to a Marshall basketball game. And, of course, I think as Marshall starts to win more games, Marshall gets better, I think you'll see more and more people show up and want to be a part of it. But to your point, I mean, it was Western Kentucky just a few years ago. That was the game you had to be at because Marshall and Western Kentucky really got after one another. It was the closest thing Marshall had to a real rivalry in the league in basketball right now. Because look at your rivals. Ohio's a rival. It's not your primary rival, even though Ohio is probably I think the second most played series for Marshall basketball. I mean, Morehead State used to be a big rivalry game. It's always fun for me because I remember, but I have a different point of view than some fans. I mean, some of you have that and share that, and some of you are still new to this compared to some of us. I'm sort of like in that middle ground. I'm young enough and I'm old enough to know, but Marshall needs rivals. Marshall needs, I think, some exciting matchups on the schedule to kind of get people to come back to the Henderson Center. But my argument, and I go back to the thought that I've always had is, and I'm never going to say, hey, I'm a better fan than you. I'm never going to play that card, and I hope you don't as well. But at the end of the day, if you're a Marshall fan, you go for Marshall. That's it. That's the only reason why you go to the game. You go to see Marshall play. That's the only thing that matters. And you look at attendance from years gone by, and the Henderson Center used to be near capacity. I mean, for years it was hard to get a ticket because it was the hottest thing. And, of course, the building was new. Keep that in mind as well. You had the Hucks-Herd era, for those of you that can remember, and it was really a big time. And then, Marshall got hit with probation, and you look at attendance. Okay, and I was pulling this up. Marshall's average attendance at the Cam Henderson Center in the 81-82 season was 7,845. Win percentage of 80%. For a long time, Marshall rarely lost in the Henderson Center. I mean, there were some losses, but Marshall rarely lost. And then it started going down here. 91-92, Marshall was 4-9 at the Henderson Center. The 2004-05 season, Marshall was 4-8 at the Henderson Center. So some rare losing seasons at the Henderson Center, but the attendance in that first year was 7,845, and then it starts to build up. Marshall was averaging the 83-84 season almost 9,000 at 8,799. It dipped a little bit the next year, 8,541. It sprang back up to 8,916 in the 85-86 season, and it was in the 8,000 range for several years, from 1983 all the way to the 87-88 season. Marshall averaged in the 8,000 range for attendance, and then it dropped in 88 to 6,000, and then ever since it's been anywhere between, with a rare exception, it's been in the 4, 5, and 6 season. Of course, the 2020-21 season doesn't count because that's the COVID year, but Marshall just in 2018 and 19 was averaging over 6,000 fans. That's the highest it's been in a while. Last season, it was 4,152. The year before that, 4,502. The year before that, the 22-23 season, it was 4,656. 21-22, again, we're recovering from COVID, 4,185. But the 2018-19 season is the most recent high. And the highest season before that was the 2011-12 season at 6,150. The highest season before that, you have to go all the way back to 94-95 when it was 6,513. But you averaged in the high 6,000s, 88 through 91 seasons. And then it's been anywhere hit or miss, but mostly in the 4-5 range. High 4s, high 5s, low 4s. Last year, 4,152. What does all this mean? Every year is different. But the Thundering Herd in the Henderson Center last year, 14-3 record, attendance of 70,579. Just depends on how many games you have, but it's been a while since the Herd has cracked an average of 6,000, 5,000. Came close in that 22-23 season at 4,656. So you'd like to see more Herd fans show up? Absolutely. And you try to give them reasons to show up? Absolutely. Am I a big fan of the Wednesday game? For me, it doesn't bother me. For a lot of Herd fans, I know it does. And so hopefully we'll see more people show up, support Coach Jackson and his team. It was fun last night. I enjoyed it. Absolutely had a good time watching the Herd take on Western Kentucky. I knew I'd get a good game, and I did. I knew Marshall would have to come out after a 3-game losing streak, after losing to Ohio. You had to see an improvement, and I thought we did. And that's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for tuning in. We will make you a winner. One of you is going to be a winner here in a moment with our ticket giveaway. We'll have another pair for you tomorrow. Until then, have a great evening.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.